Hey there, this is Carla from Coffee and Hustle. And today's podcast, we're going to talk about the pros and cons as an entrepreneur. And the reason why I want to discuss this today is a lot of times, not only do clients come to me about marketing or branding strategies, sometimes they just want advice as an entrepreneur and the struggles and strives of what other people have gone through and things that they've had to deal with along their path, because they don't always want to feel like they're the only people that are dealing with the ups and downs of their businesses. So one of the things that I always look at is that the word failure can be such a negative term in our business because we don't always want to admit when there's failure, when there's a real issue that's going on with our business, and we don't necessarily want to share that with other people, but those things do happen in our industry. When I first started my business back in the day, I know that I had to learn how to manage my time very wisely because I had, two babies, twins, by the way, and a kindergartner at home. And I knew that I had to really focus on time, and time management was very important. I do know that when I first started, I used to clean my house for hours and hours and hours, and then I would kill myself trying to figure out why was I not able to get my work done that I needed to work on. And I realized that I really wasn't focusing on the main task at that time. And I had to really set the timer. So I would set the microwave, not the microwaver, but the microwave, and I would set 30 minutes to time myself how long it would take me to actually do maybe a load of laundry, or just to sweep the floors and make up the beds. And I realized that I could actually get a lot done in 30 minutes if I was really focused on that. So I knew how to really evaluate what I needed to do with my business in the very beginning, and had to time adjust what really mattered at that moment. And believe me, when I had to juggle trying to feed twins and keep a kindergartner very entertained, there was not a whole lot of time in that window. So there were a lot of really late nights where, I had to do my work. So a lot of times that people come to me and they go, well, what time do you wake up in the morning? I said, well, I wake up at 5 o'clock, sometimes 4:30 in the morning. I get up very early. I make me some coffee. I meditate, do look up some inspirational quotes. I've moved into listening to very soothing music. Maybe actually do a little bit of yoga in the morning. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm actually just waking up my mind and figuring out what it is that I need to do for the day. And I really try to consume as much positivity in the morning as I possibly can, because you never know what hurdles or things that may affect you throughout the day. Now, I used to take negativity and things that would affect me emotionally and personally, affect my entire day. And I realized that that was not my main focus. And I knew that I need to readjust. And so I actually give myself a timetable. I know it sounds a little silly, but it really makes you refocus on what it is that you want to accomplish for the day. Now, I am a priority person. I don't always get everything done that I want done, but I do take a little post-it note and I put it above my desk. And I say, these are the 3 things that I really want to get done for the day. And I try to really focus on that. And that's usually the biggest task of the day. I try to get that done first, because then I know that I've accomplished one of the biggest things that I put off. Because that's one of the things a lot of clients do, is that they tend to put things off until they can't do it anymore. And then they're faced with having to meet some deadlines that they necessarily don't want to admit to. So I look at certain things in clients, and we talk about not just marketing, but also, how their business is going, and what things that is the strengths and the weaknesses of their business. Because when we first start our business, a lot of times we look at, is failure, is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? And sometimes that when we look at failure or things that fall through that we necessarily did not expect, I tend to look at failure as like, okay, well, maybe this is an opportunity to make other improvements, or maybe it's a failure because it was not the right time, and timing usually is always a factor. when I started my business back in the day, I started out doing web design work and front page. And some of those that may not know what that is, it's very basic programming because I had a programming degree. Front page was very easy for me to manipulate website design. And I'm always up for the challenge because that's just me, and I think that is the reason why we always survive in this business. And I think as an entrepreneur, we can say that we're survivors in the entrepreneur because when things change or trends change or the domino effect of, the economy or whatever happens to us, we have to be able to learn how to get ourselves back up and move in a different direction when it comes to our business. And believe me, I do know what that feels like. And sometimes it's just, when you know that things don't work for you, you just got to change how you do your business at that point. And so you always need to have somewhat of a backup plan. A backup plan is so important because it says when things that you put 100% in may not always be the one thing that people are looking for at that time. And you really need to know that if you've got a backup plan, then it's foolproof, because I don't think people really understand that things aren't always going to be strong. The economy is not always going to be strong. Things are always going to change. And entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster. It's 1 minute it's very fun and you look at life and go, wow, this is great. This is the best time of my life. And then the next minute, it can all fall apart very easily. You really need to understand that those things do happen. And entrepreneurship is you got to be 100% in. I think that's one of the things that, people tend to get lazy in, is that they don't necessarily love exactly what it is that they're doing with their business, or they've lost that motivation and they just need to regroup and figure out if this is the path for them or not. And believe me, I know those paths change. I've been in this industry for a very long time. And so as an entrepreneur, you have to really understand that there's challenges that are going to come toward you that you really have to choose to either be positive or negative for the day. And you got to take on, either this hard work that you're putting out if you want the real results. And so hard work is a very important aspect. And I work probably 7 days a week. Actually, I do work 70. There's no probably to it. There is 7 days a week put in there. And believe me, a lot of times people think it's crazy, but if I want the success that I want out of it, then I put the time in and effort in it. So I think that's so important, is putting some hard work into that you're doing. Now, when I talk about backup, when I mentioned that earlier, backup means that also be financially backup. And what I mean by that is that those phone calls can stop any minute, and that referral may not come through. Those people that you thought were going to sign that contract may not sign it. So you need to have a foolproof backup and really understand that things are always going to happen. So if that means that as you're making some of that money or that dough that's flowing in, take a moment and take a percentage off the back end and stuff it somewhere, put it under your mattress. I'm not kidding. Don't put it under your mattress, but just take it somewhere and put it somewhere that you can hide it from yourself because you don't want to spend it. But that way, if there is something that does fall through, or the economy changes, or, you have a big expense that came up that you weren't expecting, believe me, there's times where I was in an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur or a business owner. Okay. I was in the very beginning of my business, I would pray for a check to come in, just to pay for groceries. So I understand that the strides and struggles of a business, but you got to be willing to do it. Entrepreneurship is not a very easy task, and not everybody can do it. I think my father said it best. He said, there's two kinds of people in the world, and they're either going to be followers or leaders, and you have to decide which one you want to be. Not everybody can be a business owner. Not everybody can be that entrepreneur. It is hard work. It is something that we as entrepreneurs, it somewhat can be almost a lonely job, but you do have to surround yourself. Now, honestly, I know I'm probably talking 90 miles an hour, but you really have to surround yourself around the right kinds of people that support you in your industry, not just in the types of industry, but in the industry as a whole, as an entrepreneurship. It's a business that a lot of times people don't really understand. Once you get in it, you got to be 100% in it. Actually, you need to be 150% in it. 100% may not always get it there. but it's not an overnight success. It is not, and I think that's a very one of those things that I think that is not should not ever be put out there for everyone to see. Because look, when you're running an entrepreneurship or a business, okay, we are not getting a trophy or an achievement every time we turn around. We're not going to get that medal every year. We may not get that certificate of achievement every year. But the one thing that you can do is continue to brush up on your skills, is continue to learn something new about your industry, learning something new so that you can offer something else to your clients. Also, don't get yourself stuck in that same, type of business that's going to fall, apart, any given moment. So, sometimes thinking about what those skill-based ideas for your business that we're going to do for you, you need to really think about that. That is definitely part of your backup plan, is really understanding what's working, what's not, and really understanding your skill base. That's how I think I've survived after all these years, is continue to learn. I think that's so important when we've, lock ourselves in a box and we don't realize that there's an opening for these other opportunities. You have to really recognize them. And I think that's so important. I think that's the reason why I'm actually deciding to do a podcast, because maybe people want to hear what I have to say after all these years. And I'm actually comfortable sharing that information with you. I am a very inspirational person. I love it. I love inspirational quotes. I love being around positive people. I don't like negativity. I don't like drama. I don't like talking about people. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, knowing the fact that when you're sucked into that negativity as a business owner, it's going to drown you. And that is definitely something that you don't want to do. I think positivity, when you're positive, that positivity comes back to you. When you're inspiring, other people are going to be inspiring. And the one thing that you have to understand is that even though you may be in this particular parts of your business, like I'm in the marketing business, and I don't necessarily like that word, because I think we're kind of grouped in that word, and I don't really necessarily like the word marketing. I love the word business strategist. I think that we should be, categorized as our own. And there's plenty of business out there for all of us. As entrepreneurs, we have to look to see what we're best fit for. Who do we communicate with better? I always think about, whose frequency matches with my frequency. Who can sell the best toilet paper? I'm all about that. I think networking and getting people out in front of people necessarily is not always online, anymore. I do think you have to get out and meet people. Networking is very important. And I think referral-based business is still very, very important. I think that we miss the niche on that. We tend to wait for someone to submit a form or wait for that phone call to come in, when I think referral business has always been there. It has been that way for many years for me. I'm very blessed with that, and I'm very happy with that. I have to say that honestly, that's how my business has thrived over the years. Has been referral based. And believe me, I take those very serious. And I do interview people to see if I actually want to do business with them, or they're interviewing me to make sure that I'm going to do business with me. So, because I am a different kind of business owner, I am very honest, I'm direct. I know who I am. I'm very happy with who I am as a business owner, but I do take my business very serious, and I do enjoy it. So, one of the things that I do want you to keep out is always remember that as an entrepreneur, when you think that things are going to go bad, be prepared. Okay. Don't stress over it. Stress over it maybe a little bit. Okay. Because we all stress. I mean, let's be honest, but let's try to keep our head in a positive direction, right? You want to keep your mindset high, and keep your head above all things, and know the fact that entrepreneurship is not a foolproof business. But if it's something that you love, and you have to love your business, you have to love being a part of something that you want to continue to grow, you have to have that passion, you have to respect it, and know the fact that entrepreneurship may not always be for you. You may not want to be in it. Now, if you're working a full-time job and you want to dabble into starting your own business, know the fact that don't quit your job. your full-time job until you know 100% you're ready to put 150% into that business. Now, if you want to grow that entrepreneurship and you want to build your own business, then put 100% in that to get there. Don't just go, I'm going to do this as a hobby. You either in 100% or you don't need to be in it at all. But entrepreneurship is such an important aspect. You have to have the people around you to support you. And believe me, I can understand that when your family and friends don't believe in the business opportunity that you may want to do, you still need to think about who are you hanging out with in the first place that's not really giving you that positive feedback. So I'm saying to you, know that you want to be in entrepreneurship. Know that you want to be in it 100% before you step outside and start your business on your own. But if you're going to start your business, believe me, don't continue, to fail at it if you're not 100% in it. So I think that is so important to understand those actual benefits of knowing the fact that owning a business is not necessarily the easiest road, but it is a rewarding road if you're doing it the way you want to. And you can pick and choose, right, on how you want to run your business. And believe me, as far as marketing goes, have a business plan. Right? You got to know who your competition is. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to know that, it may change here and there. Understand your products and services. You may sell the same thing as someone next to you, but know the fact that you can sell it better, or that you can sell it quicker. I don't know. But just really understand that when you're becoming an entrepreneur, know the fact that just because someone is in the room that may offer the same service as you, do not feel uncomfortable. Focused on what it is that makes you you and makes you unique in your business aspect. So being an entrepreneur is hard work, but it is a rewarding one, again, because overnight success as an entrepreneur is not always going to be an easy one. Again, this is Carla from Coffee and Hustle, and I really appreciate your time. So see you again next time.